1881, the Isthmus of Panama. To the French, it was a geographic inconvenience. To the world, it was the green hell. Ferdinand de Lesseps, the man who conquered the sands of Suez, arrived here with a dream of a sea-level canal, a pas de niveau. He envisioned a simple trench cut through the earth, connecting the Atlantic and Pacific. But Panama was not Egypt. De Lesseps ignored the geography. He ignored the genius loci, the spirit of the place, which in Panama was defined by the unpredictable Chagres River and a climate that rotted boots off feet in weeks. By 1889, the French effort collapsed. They didn't just lose money, they lost 22,000 men. The cause? A mysterious, invisible killer. Act 2, the biological war. When the Americans arrived in 1904, they didn't start with shovels. They started with science. At the time, the prevailing theory was miasma, the belief that bad air or decaying organic matter caused disease. But Chief Medical Officer William Gorgas knew better. Following the work of Carlos Finley and Walter Reed, he targeted the Aedes aegypti and Anopheles mosquitoes. This was a scorched earth policy against nature. Gorgas spent nearly as much money on health as the French had on digging. He fumigated every house in Panama City. He paved streets to eliminate standing water. By 1906, yellow fever was eradicated from the zone. For the first time in history, man had silenced the pestis of the tropics. The real work could finally begin. Act 3, the Stairway of Water. With the disease conquered, the Americans abandoned the sea level dream. Instead, they would build a bridge of water. This required the construction of the Gatun Dam, creating Gatun Lake, a massive, man-made reservoir 85 feet above sea level. The locks are the canal's beating heart. Think of them as water elevators. Each chamber is 1,000 feet long and 110 feet wide. They don't use pumps. Instead, they rely on the simple elegance of gravity. Massive culverts, large enough to drive a locomotive through, release water from the higher lake into the lower chambers. The physics are staggering. 26 million gallons of fresh water are moved in less than 8 minutes to lift a ship. It is a hydraulic masterpiece of the industrial age. Act 4, the Culebra Cut. But between the lake and the Pacific stood the continental divide, the Culebra Cut. This was the Hell's Gorge. For 7 years, 6,000 men worked at a time in a narrow 9-mile canyon. The noise was a constant, deafening roar of 100 steam shovels and the rhythmic thud of dynamite. They excavated 100 million cubic yards of earth, enough to bury the entire island of Manhattan under 12 feet of debris. The earth fought back. Frequent landslides, or terra infirma, would often undo months of work in a single night, swallowing steam shovels whole. But the engineers, led by George Goethals, never blinked. They simply dug it out again. Act V, the legacy of 1914. August 15, 1914. The world was sliding into the darkness of the Great War, but in Panama, the light of human ingenuity reached its zenith. The SS Ancon made the first official transit. The journey from New York to San Francisco was slashed from 13,000 miles to just 5,000. The world was no longer the same size. Today, the Panama Canal remains a testament to the strenuous, the restless, striving spirit of the early 20th century. It stands not just as a shortcut between oceans, but as a monument to the moment man decided that no mountain was too high and no swamp too deadly to stop the flow of progress.